All right. A video that a lot of you guys have been wanting to see. This is pretty much going to be the ultimate Ruger Mark IV pistol video. It's been about a year since the Mark IV has been introduced to the rimfire world, and it kind of took a lot of people by surprise. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Mark IV is basically this, okay? Make sure your magazine's out, your firearm's on safety, and bada boom, bada bing. You can take this pistol apart. Much, much easier than the traditional Mark IIIs, Mark IIs, and also Mark Is. I think Ruger's hit a home run with the Mark IV, but a lot of people like upgrades, and this video is going to be all about the upgrades. For one, the thing that kind of sticks out the most is this barrel. This is the LLV barrel by Volquartsen. Okay, you guys know that I'm a huge Volquartsen fan. They sent me this barrel to make a video with it, but it does have the nice cuts on the bottom, and you've also noticed that there's a rail. They've started putting a rail on most, if not all, their barrels. And what this will allow you to do is put a tack light, you know, flashlight, nunchucks, ninja stars, bow staffs, whatever you want on this rail. And at first I was like, you know what? Why in the world do I need a rail on a 22 pistol? Then I got to thinking, it's actually a brilliant idea. Some people, they shoot, you know, these night tournaments, suppressed tournaments, things of that nature, but that's not what I would use it for. I would use it for, usually if I grab a pistol or a rifle at nighttime I live on a farm and I wanted to do some critter control. And, you know, I'd put my suppressor on there and I found myself holding the flashlight, you know, all different kind of ways, you know, trying to get the critter. Saying all that, with this rail and a tack light, it makes it much easier to get a shot off in the middle of the night. Suppressed, of course, you don't want to wake up the neighbors. But the cool thing is it also has the rail all the way across the top, so for mounting your optics. It does have a new style muzzle brake. This muzzle brake is extremely effective, and Volquartsen's been making muzzle brakes for a long time. The difference with this muzzle brake is it is so much easier to maintain and clean. The last muzzle brake, the one that I have on my Scorpion, which is on a Mark III platform, it was a beast to clean, okay? You know, after about 500 to 1,000 rounds, taking that thing off, it was easy to take off, but cleaning it, oh my goodness, there would be, you know, melted lead just pile up in there. It looked like little stalagmites and stalactites forming in there, and it just took a while to heat that stuff up and dig it out with a screwdriver. But this one is so much easier to perform maintenance on, and I really, really like it. It keeps the muzzle of this firearm down when you're shooting. 22 doesn't have a lot of recoil anyways, but if you're getting into some competition shooting, trust me, that recoil makes a big difference. Let me shoot it a few more times and I will tell you a little bit more about it. Safety. About knocked that target over. Didn't have it on there good. Let's go across the creek. Got to aim low. Way I have this sighted in. All right, let's go for 100. Nailed it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the features on this pistol. Okay, we've already talked about the barrel. This is also a Volquartsen bolt. Man, these bolts are amazing. What it allows you to do is actually get a purchase instead of pinching the back of the firearm. Man, you can use 2 fingers to engage the firearm. It does have the Volquartsen firing pin, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But it does have really good sights. If you did not want to mount an optic on top of this firearm, the sights are unbelievable. They are blacked out target sights, which that's what I prefer. And they come with the little serrations on the back so you don't get any reflection from the sun. So that's really, really good. I've always been impressed with Volquartsen sights, and of course you can use them or adjust them for windage and elevation. Let's see what else we need to talk about. All right, the Trijicon on top of here. This is not your regular RMR. Okay, this is the RMR version 2 or 2.0, whatever you want to call it. And what this sight does, and what Trijicon did, was beef it up. Okay, a lot of times there were problems with the first version of the Trijicon when people wanted to mount it on a slide of a firearm, such as a 9mm, or like if you had a 40 MOS, 10mm Glock or something like that, and you try to put a regular RMR on there, it would work at first, but over a period of time, the sight could get some damage to it and it would quit working. Now what they did with this new Trijicon RMR is they beefed it up. They beefed it way up. If you look inside of it, the battery terminals, all the soldering joints, they double, triple soldered them, so it works much better. For 22, of course, it's probably a little overkill, but the dot is a 3 MOA dot. So if you're shooting competition and you want to mount it to the rear slide of your firearm, such as a Glock or an M&P or anything like that, this sight will have you covered. Okay, next thing we need to talk about are the grips. These are Volquartsen target grips. They stand out tons when you show people this pistol. I like the target grips. I probably own 4 or 5 pair of Volquartsen target grips. Now, what this will allow you to do is get a really good purchase on the pistol, okay? I've got huge hands, okay? Sasquatch hands. Of course, you guys know that I'm 6'6", and I can palm a basketball both hands like nobody's business, but I've got really big hands. I can shoot them very, very well. They feel great in my hands to point, and I prefer them. Now, if you have small hands, guess what? They're going to fit your hands also. My wife and my kids, they shoot this pistol. They have no problem getting good purchase on it. And what this will allow you to do with the finger grooves and everything and the thumb rest, you're picking the pistol up at exactly the same time and same place every single time, so you're getting the same purchase. Well, if you're getting the same purchase, your accuracy is going to go way up, okay? So I really like the grips, and they are limited. Last thing that we need to talk about is the trigger. This does have a Volquartsen trigger. If you remember back when I originally did the video on the Ruger Mark IVs, you noticed that I already had the Volquartsen trigger in there. The Volquartsen trigger is a must-have, period, on all your Mark, 2s, 3s, or even 4s. I am not a big fan of the Ruger Mark IV triggers, the standard triggers, but this will take the trigger down to about 2 pounds from about 5 pounds. It breaks super, super clean like glass, and I've always been pleased whether I have a trigger in my Mark II, Mark IIIs, and now Mark IVs, my Ruger 1022s. Volquartsen makes some awesome, awesome triggers. Unless you've ever owned a customized 22 pistol, you really shouldn't know what to expect. A lot of people, I posted some pictures on Facebook and Instagram. They're like, it's nice, it's just not my cup of tea. Well, that thing just looks big and bulky. This thing is extremely light, okay? It hardly weighs anything. And, saying or making your opinion on a firearm like this, saying, hey, it's not my cup of tea, that thing's just ugly looking, those grips are awful. That's like saying, perfect example, my kids. They said for a long time, I don't like green beans, I don't like green beans. Well, have you ever tried green beans? No, I just know I don't like them. Well, try them. Well, both of them tried them, and guess what? They like green beans. So don't knock it unless you've ever tried it. And I'm not saying go out and buy one of these. Just find someone who has one, or find a range that has an awesome setup like this Mark IV with these grips, or a Mark III, anything in this configuration, and I guarantee you it will change your mind. All right, let's shoot it a few more times. All right, now what I'm doing, I'm shooting just strictly CCI standard velocity ammo in this pistol, okay? There's a reason for that. I only shoot lead in my 22 long rifle Volquartsens. Now, my 17 WSMs and my 17 HMRs, I can't shoot lead out of them. But Volquartsen recommends you shoot a 40 grain lead projectile out of this firearm. Now, if you shoot copper jacketed ammo out of it, it's not gonna hurt it. Over a period of time, it could affect the accuracy. And if you're shooting your copper jacketed ammo anyways, you're not gonna get the full you know, the full intent of this pistol, and that's the accuracy. Now this barrel is 4.5 inches long, and they do make a 6-inch model, but I wanted the 4.5 because I wanted a lighter setup. I already had a 6-inch barrel, but I wanted the 4.5. It's much easier to swing, but if I was shooting bullseye matches, I probably would stick with the 6-inch. All right, let me see what kind of bullseye shooting I can do with this pistol. Now, right behind me, I've got the 22 Plinkster Challenge target. Now, this target's been out for several years, and I actually helped design this target. It will make you a better shooter, I promise you that. But there is a 1-inch hole right in the middle of that target, and if I hit hey diddle diddle right down the middle, that other target behind it should swing around. This is a very, very challenging target, but I'm gonna aim right in the middle, and I'm at about, probably about 35 feet right here. Let's see if I can make that paddle swing a few times. Slow down, Dave. All right, that wasn't great. Let me see if I can do better. Dang. Shot way high. That was all me. All right, well, I finished there pretty strong, but I have been thoroughly impressed with this setup. Like I said, it's super, super light, and I've got it on a Ruger Mark IV target. Okay, this is the aluminum grip. Now I do have the Hunter and I have the 2245. I'm not sure if it'll work on the 2245 or not. I haven't checked. I will put in the, I will make a little description right here in the video. I will go inside and try it. But the reason why I put it on the aluminum slide is, excuse me, the aluminum lower, is because I wanted to get it as light as possible. If I put it on the stainless steel, it will be a little bit heavier. I'm going to reload some magazines, and we're going to do some long range shooting, 100 yards, and then I will wrap up the video. One more thing that I need to go over before we do some more shooting is if you own an early model Ruger Mark IV and you get the LLV barrel, okay, just the upper, not the bolt or anything like that, just the barrel to put on your Mark IV, you could experience a few problems with the firing pin. I had one of the very, very early models, meaning I had it like 4 or 5 weeks before Ruger introduced the pistol. But if you have a Mark IV that was just, you know, you bought in the last couple months, probably 4 or 5 months, you'll be good to go. But the early models, the firing pin will not work very well in this setup. And when I first got this barrel and tried out, for about the first 100 rounds, it worked fine. But after shooting at 100 rounds, I started getting 1 or 2 misfires. Then after about another 50 rounds, I started getting 3 misfires per magazine, then 4, then 5, then 6, and eventually it wouldn't work at all. So I sent it to Volquartsen and I said, hey, something's not right with this. They found out it was the firing pin. The firing pin, the early models of the Mark IV, they just weren't up to par. So I got a Volquartsen firing pin in there now, and it's working just fine. And like I said, if you just bought your Mark IV for the past couple of months ago, it's going to be fine. You're not going to have any problems out of it. So, all right, I've got a target down there at 100 yards, and I'm going to try to go 10 for 10 on it. Now, it's about the size of the white target right there in front of me, white and red target, challenge target. I'm going to try to hit it 10 out of 10. No promises, though. The problem with this is getting a good trigger break and not pulling off. All right, I went 9 for 9. Excuse me, 9 for 10. Let me see if I can do a little bit better than that. That one I missed. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I had a mosquito go right over the lens, and it kind of distracted me a little bit, but I still should have hit it. All right, now it's swinging pretty good. All right, I was trying to time the swinging a little bit at 100 yards. But for the most part, guys, this is an awesome setup. This is the ultimate Ruger Mark IV. You're probably asking the price. I don't really know the price. Volquartsen was nice enough to send this to me, but I can tell you from experience and the stuff that I've bought from Volquartsen, you're going to get great customer service. You're going to get excellent quality. And in my opinion, they are the leader in quality on rimfire. But I can promise you this, it's not cheap, but it is custom. You know, they put on here, well, most of their stuff, custom work, because these are custom grips, custom barrels. On a lot of their stuff, it's Ruger or the Volquartsen custom. And with custom products, you pay the custom price. But if you want the best of the best, you can't go wrong with your Mark IV setup to look just like this. Guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. You can go over to my Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page and ask them there. And until next time, y'all be safe and keep blinking.